On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome inside episode 407 of the Locked On Senators podcast. I'm Ross Levitan in the heart of our nation's capital in Ottawa, Ontario, alongside Brandon Pillar up in the Blue Mountains. Today's episode brought to you by Rock Auto. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. Visit rockauto.com and tell them Locked On sent you. Well, the Senators made their 22-man roster official last night, but as we're recording before the end of the show, the guys will be on the ice for their first practice as a team. So we'll break down what the line combos are and any other news and notes from this first skate. And then we'll get back into previewing tonight's action because the NHL season does get underway. Oh, talk about burying the lead, though. We've got Greig on today's show. It's his second time back, and timing is great as well because he was just named the 66th captain in Brandon Wheat Kings history, and he's coming off quite the entertaining preseason with the Ottawa Senators. We got all that plus your listener questions. This is the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day. Today is Tuesday, October 12th, and Pilsey, hockey is back.
The regular season starts tonight, and hey, some pretty good matchups too if you consider the storylines, right? Like the Tampa Bay Lightning, their back-to-back Stanley Cup championship banner will be raised tonight, and welcome to the league, the 32nd team of the National Hockey League, the Seattle Kraken up against the last expansion team, the Vegas Golden Knights. So the NHL schedule makers, they had a little fun with this one, and it should be two really good games.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think mostly who doesn't want to see the Seattle Kraken with their first game? It's unfortunate. It seems like they're going to have upwards of 5 guys out of the lineup due to COVID protocols, and just kind of a stark reminder at the start of the regular season that this pandemic is not quite behind us as much as we've come so far in being able to have fans in the stands, like in Ottawa on Thursday, full capacity crowd, that sort of thing. But it is kind of a bit of a damper on the late game. That being said, with the banner going up in Tampa, you know that that's easy money, right? Like, there's no chance that they're coming out flat, knowing that not only have they won back-to-back cups, but they haven't lost a season opener in the last 7 years.
Yeah, I think, no spoiler alert, but I think Tampa's going to be a part of Pilsey's Parlay of the Day, which is also coming back for the regular season. And tough start for the Penguins here. No Malkin, no Crosby, and I think Zach Aston-Reese is also out with COVID. So that's tough if you're the Pittsburgh Penguins having an opening night up against the Lightning without those guys.
Yes, and if you're a Sens fan, you're patiently waiting because you've got tonight's slate of action, which again, there's only the 2 games, and then tomorrow. Well, before I get to tomorrow, actually, it'll be fun to see ESPN's got their first broadcast tonight. What are you hoping to see from the new look or new angle of what we get to experience NHL hockey in the States?
Well, to be honest, I don't really have too many expectations. I just hope they can bring kind of a new perspective to it, right? Like we've had so much CBC, Sportsnet, all the other
NBC down in the States.
NBC definitely is a big one. So we've had all of those for a long time. So let's see what flavor ESPN puts on this, right? It was weird to go to NHL.com and I was looking at game previews, and then when you hit the game preview, it takes you to ESPN, which doesn't happen, hadn't happened before in the past. So I was like, okay, this is real, and it's great for the sport of hockey, and hopefully great for the salary cap ceiling, and maybe the salary cap floor will go up. If you're an Ottawa Senators fan, you can look forward to the Senators needing to spend a couple more $1 million to reach the floor when that happens.
We went over all that yesterday. Let's try to keep that behind us. If you missed yesterday's show, we did react to the entirety of the 22-man roster that will start the year in Ottawa. And as the players are stepping on the ice for morning skate right now, Pilsey, no Matt Murray. He missed the game on Saturday. He was sick, not COVID, but now that he's missing in action on the Tuesday as well, I'm starting to worry that what if we have no Brady Tkachuk and Anton Forsberg in goal on Thursday? This is not good, man.
Yeah, it's really not good. I mean, like, just all we wanted was a show for the home opener, just a good show, and then the team can do its usual terrible start to the season like they've done lately. But the home opener is supposed to be special, and if Matt Murray also isn't there, first off, we hope he's doing all right. Not really sure what the injury or sickness is, so hopefully he's doing all right and can come back healthy. But man, that would be just another disappointment, because that's another major storyline heading into this season. Can your $6.25 million two-time Stanley Cup champion extended deal goalie bounce back from a terrible season last year? And he's going to need to be a big part of this team if they're going to have any success.
And the rubber match too, Pilsey. It's the third straight year that Ottawa and Toronto have opened the season against one another. In 2019, it was the Toronto Maple Leafs that ended up with a 5-3 victory. But last year, Ottawa comes out with a 5-3 win on opening night. And a big part of that was Matt Murray, who made, it's only
I thought you were going to say Chris Tierney.
Spot the lie. He got the game, or not the game winner, sorry, but he did get on the score sheet. So did Derek Stepan, and so did Austin Watson. So you knew that the team was going to be off to a buzzing start in that one. But Matt Murray did get the win last year, although he did allow 3 goals on 23 shots. That being said, what are you hoping to see here as we're about to find out the line combinations? We discussed Tim Stutzel on yesterday's show, but is there anyone in particular that you're most curious to see where they end up in this lineup?
I think for me, I'm most curious where, and it kind of goes hand in hand with Tim Stutzel, where Alex Formenton heads into this lineup, right? Because I thought he did a great job up on that top line. I thought he added some speed and skill to that line. Not that they don't have skill, but they don't necessarily have the most speed on that line. So adding Flash Formenton definitely boosts that. And then it depends where Formenton plays is going to dictate where Stutzel plays too, right? So I think those two are going to be very interesting on the left side. They're going to have a lot of that weight that Brady Tkachuk usually shoulders on that left wing. They're going to have to support that weight now. And for two young guys like that, that's a lot to ask.
As we wait for those line combinations to come out, Pilsey, I'll get your take on a contract extension for a 21-year-old who's never hit 50 points. And no, I'm not talking about Brady Tkachuk, but just up the road in Montreal, Nick Suzuki has agreed to an 8-year contract that will pay him $7.875. So his contract is going to make $100,000 more per season on the cap hit than Andrei Svechnikov. And we said that was the perfect Brady comparable, but must be nice. Not only being able to sign your core players long-term, but this is a year out.
Yep. I mean, we were all hoping they would get the Tkachuk deal done a year out because we were terrified of exactly what's happening right now happening. And for whatever reason, things didn't get done. We were told, it's positive talks. We're going to focus on it in the off season. And again, in yesterday's episode, we're left wondering what the hell were they doing this entire off season that they couldn't sign the most important player to their team and barely made any decent acquisitions or trades. But that's yesterday's episode. We're moving forward here. I don't know. It's going to be tough sledding here to start the season off, Ross. Like that, seeing that contract is just such a slap in the face for Sens fans because that's a great deal for Nick Suzuki. And I'm a Nick Suzuki guy, Guelph Storm fan. So definitely I've seen him in his earlier years and I loved his play. He looked great in the playoffs. He's a centerman that the Montreal Canadiens desperately need, especially now that they traded away Kotkaniemi. So I think if you're a Habs fan, what a great deal and what a way to wake up this morning knowing that you've got your great centerman, young centerman locked up for the next 9 years. That must be just nice.
But unfortunately, they still have to be Habs fans at the end of the day.
True. Yeah, that is the quick reminder to bring you back down to earth, eh?
Yeah, no question. But it is a great deal for both Nick Suzuki and the Montreal Canadiens. You just hope that at some point here, like that's where the tease really happened. Yeah, it sucked to see Svechnikov, then Dahlin, then Hughes, then Pettersson, and Kaprizov, all these RFAs signed. But now guys are signing who are in that same position, who will be coming off their entry level. They're signing for a year down the road. And Ottawa still can't get their deal done for a guy who will be out of the lineup in 2 days if they can't figure it out.
Yeah, well, and I mean, NHL general managers are probably taking note of this, right? Like, this Brady Tkachuk situation, like, sure, the Vancouver Canucks were on the hot seat for a long time, having their two most important players, both at the same agency, both still unsigned RFAs, but they got it figured out. They figured it out. And now the Ottawa Senators and their most important player are the ones left standing and staring at each other. It's like sundown in an old Western, and they've got a duel going, and they can't wait to who's going to fire first here. And no one's firing any shots, it seems like. And other general managers saying, we don't want to have Nick Suzuki without a contract heading into a season and him having some leverage being like, well, I'm going to hold out till he pay me what we want. And you can't have that happen. So they smartened up. They said, we're going to figure it out a year in advance. And it's a great move by them.
And then on the other side of it, do you think it's more of a Josh Norris comparable? Could this be something that Norris looks at? Not that he would sign this next week or two, especially when you consider he and Brady Tkachuk have the same agents. I think Craig Oster would clearly say, no, we're dealing with Brady, and then we'll turn our attention to Josh Norris if that's the way they want to do it. But that's a lot of money if you're looking to lock up Josh Norris. But I think what people are saying a lot about the Nick Suzuki deal, and I agree with it as well, is maybe in the first year of it, and remember, it doesn't kick in this year, it starts next year. Maybe in the first year or two, it looks like an overpayment, but by the end of that contract, in his prime, if you expect the cap to go up like many do in the next 3-4 years, all of a sudden this is a contract that's going to be looked upon as a steal around the league.
Definitely. And if you look at Montreal's cap friendly page, like, they've got a lot of guys in good contracts. Like, that Toffoli contract looks absolutely amazing right now. The Josh Anderson one looks good. Like, yeah,
what really bothers me, Pilsey, is this is the team with the least amount of cap space this season.
Yeah, and they're able to pull this off.
This off.
Yeah. That's the tough thing too, right? Like, I mean, they got a lot of questions of guys who aren't going to be playing on the ice. Shea Weber, Carey Price, Michael Hoffman. Who knows what's going to happen with those guys? But they're able to do this still, and they're able to put their money where their mouth is and know that this is going to be the future of this franchise. Is a guy like Nick Suzuki. They made a calculated risk letting Jesperi Kotkaniemi go because they knew that cap structure that he was setting them along wouldn't have worked if you start him at 6.1 right now, because then they wouldn't have money for Suzuki down the road, and they got to look out for your buddy Cole Caulfield coming up soon too here, right? So there's a lot of things that went into play that made this contract work, but they got it done. They got it done in time. And if you're Nick Suzuki and if you're the Montreal Canadiens, I think both parties are happy here.
Pilsey, I'm pulling up on a banner on YouTube. You can always follow our show on YouTube. Subscribe, please. It does go a long way. We do appreciate a lot if you follow on Twitter as well at Send Central. And you can download us wherever you download your podcast. We hope you make us your first listen when you're looking to start your day with a cup of Senators content. Pilsey, the question is, if Murray can't go Thursday, would you prefer to see Anton Forsberg or a recall of Philip Gustafsson?
Like I said before, the home opener should be a show. It should be kind of
something exciting,
a hat tip to the fans. Get Philly franchise in there for the first game. If Matt Murray can't go, in my opinion, DJ Smith is a guy that's like, hey, I'm hands off with the goalies. They got to stop pucks. I'm going to play the best player available. Well, Philip Gustafsson had better numbers than Forsberg, so that leads me to believe that he should be the guy to start. And let's not forget, too, Philip Gustafsson is the goalie they protected in the expansion draft.
I know.
If you don't think they're invested in him, then why not show even further? Hey, we're going to put you out for the home opener. We're invested in you. We think you've got a chance here to be something great. And whereas Forsberg, he's a placeholder. And it's nothing against him. You need guys like that. And I think he's going to do a great job in a backup placeholder role. But for the home opener, I'm saying if this is the case, which fingers crossed, I'm hoping Matt Murray's back, but get Gustafsson in there then, please.
Trickle down effect, too, would be that Matt Sogar would get the start for Belleville's opener on Friday in Laval. And the guy's 7-0 in the AHL. Why not give him an opportunity to build on that even further? But I'm right with you. Get Gus in goal if it's not going to be Matt Murray. Plenty more to discuss before the Ottawa Senators hit the ice on Thursday, including we need to come up with some chants. Please sign Brady, something like that. We got to get something going. Leems Marsh and I were talking about it last night. We've got a ton of time, though, to figure it out. If you have any good ideas, hit us up at Send Central on Twitter. Okay, coming up, we've got Ridley Greig, Brandon Wheat Kings captain, Ottawa Senators first-round pick. It's his second time on the show. If you haven't heard the first time, it was in April. You can go back and listen to that wherever you get your podcast, or I posted the video version of that on our YouTube just this past weekend, and the timing worked out great. So in that one, we more so get to know him, how he came up through hockey, all the ins and outs of his family, who has a great history in hockey circles. But this time we focused on what happened at preseason. Everyone knows what I'm talking about and a whole lot more. Really great conversation with Ridley, a fun kid. But Pilsey, before we get to that and listener questions, we have a Pilsey's Parlay of the Day coming up, thanks to our friends at Bet Online. BetOnline.ag is the number one sportsbook of the Locked On Podcast Network, and for great reason as well. BetOnline has all the odds, all the wagers, and it's the best time of year to be getting in and starting your account. Why? Well, it's baseball playoffs, football's in full swing, hockey season's around the corner, and you can get not only all of the money line, puck line, over, under, but player props as well. So put in on your favorites at BetOnline. Go there, put in the promo code Locked On when you make your first account, and whatever you put in, 50% welcome bonus. Bang! So you put in $100, bingo, bango, bongo. That's 50 free play dollars right there for you. You put in 200, yeah, you get it. $100 for you. Pilsey, hit him with your parlay of the day.
Well, it is good to be back, guys. I did a couple mixed parlays. I did some baseball, some football ones in there just to kind of dip my toe in and keep you guys interested. But the NHL regular season is back tonight, and so is Pilsey's Parlay of the Day, and we're getting started here. So let's head over to betonline.ag, take a look at the lines here. As we mentioned before, the Tampa Bay Lightning are going to dominate tonight. They specialize in season openers. They're raising the cup banner. They don't have to deal with Crosby or Malkin. I'm taking their puck line for sure here. The puck line -1.5 at +107 odds. Then let's head to the other game of the night. The Seattle Kraken welcome to the league up against the Golden Knights. This is a game where they're going to score a lot of goals. I almost thought about taking the reverse puck line for Seattle, but I think Vegas could come out flying here. And Seattle's going to want to at least score some goals in garbage time. So I'm taking the over of 5.5. You get some nice odds with +121. So let's take Tampa Bay puck line, the over in the expansion matchup, and put those two together for a parlay. Put $10 in, like you see here on the graphic on YouTube. Thanks for watching, guys. That's going to win you $35.75. Let's get the season started off right with Pilsey's Parlay of the Day.
Don't sit on the sidelines anymore. Get into the action, and don't forget the promo code Locked On to receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. It's BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts.
And guys, we are hoping to see all of you Sens fans at the home opener at the CTC on Thursday. We're so fired up about that. But if you can't make the game, make sure you can watch it on TV. And if you're going to watch anything on TV, sports, shows, on-demand movies, anything at all, you gotta head to directtv.com. Get your TV together. No more juggling controllers and remotes and trying to figure out how you turn the volume up on this one and where you need to put the source or input to get this streaming service. No, none of that. Get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can get your sports highlights, everything, your shows, your movies, all together in one convenient place. So you don't have to buy another device again once you're with DirecTV Stream, and there's no annual contract, so you don't feel locked in. Get rid of the clutter, get rid of the confusion, and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directtv.com. That's directtv.com. Compatible device required. Contents vary by package. Check it out today. DirecTV Stream at directtv.com.
All right, Pilsey, here he is. Senators prospect Ridley Greig. All right, we now welcome a very special guest back to Locked On Senators. He was stuck in a WHL pod last time, but now he's free after an eventful preseason with the Ottawa Senators and now being named the 66th captain in Brandon Wheat Kings history. Ridley, Greig, welcome back. How's it going today, man? Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, doing awesome. How are you guys doing?
Oh, we're doing fantastic. We got to start off by thanking you. Brandon and I were at the game in Winnipeg, Ottawa against the Jets. First game of the preseason, my first live hockey game in almost 2 years. And you reach into your bag of tricks 10 minutes in. What was the inspiration between the legs, backhand, and upstairs?
Yeah, I don't even know how I pulled that off, honestly. I kind of I got the puck in the middle, and just the way the situation and the play worked, I thought it might be a good time to try that move, and obviously it worked out pretty well. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely worked out well. Like, I remember watching and I was like, oh man, he's going to run out of space here. Like, is he going to try the wraparound? And then he pulled between the legs, and how it must have been awesome going back to the boys and being like, all right, that's how we're starting the season off. How good was that celly after?
Yeah, it felt pretty good. I know the boys were pretty fired up and didn't even know how I pulled that off or whatever. But yeah, it felt really well.
Yeah, we had Mark Kaslik on the show on Friday. He just said dirty when we asked him about that. And it was actually, we were interviewing him right when you got named captain. And of course, he was a former captain in the WHL as well with the Hitmen. So we asked him what advice he'd give you. I'm going to kind of spin the question. And what would you have learned from Braden Schneider last year or a couple of the other guys throughout your time? Because you're going into, I mean, you played 4 games the first year, but this is your 5th season playing games with the Wheat Kings.
Yeah, I think the main thing I kind of learned from the leaders in the past that I've had is just to be yourself. Like, you don't want to need to try to be somebody else or try to do too much. I think I'm not much of a vocal sort of guy in the room, but I have been lately and trying to get the boys going a little bit. But just being myself is the main thing I've been trying to do.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, that's why they named you captain, right? They don't want you to change. They want you to stay just like you are. And how awesome is it being captain now and getting to play home games back in Brandon in front of those fans? Like, that must be a great feeling. It's been a while for you, eh?
Yeah, it's a pretty cool honor to be captain and everything in the Wheat Kings. And I know that it's such a good history with the captains here. It's pretty cool to be part of that group. With the fans and everything, it was pretty exciting. My first game here last weekend, just to see everybody back in the building, it was pretty cool.
How did you find out that you were going to receive that honor?
He actually told me last year.
Oh, nice.
No spoilers.
Kind of on the exit meeting last year, but I kind of like, we talked quite a bit, and I'm pretty close. The head coach here, Don McGovern, so we have a pretty good connection, and yeah, so we kind of talked quite a bit throughout the summer.
Nice. Well, a lot of Sens fans were petitioning for you to get an opportunity to forego that final year back in Brandon. You had the opportunity. We discussed it last time you were on about having that handful of games in Belleville. Was that a bit of a disappointment for you not to be able to stick? Because, I mean, if you were in the OHL, you would have played the amount of games, and that way you slid right into the AHL. Is that a bit of an adjustment, kind of the mentality going back to junior?
I don't know, maybe a little bit. Like, I know it is what it is. I mean, it's out of my control, so nothing I can really do about it. But obviously, just take advantage of wherever you are and whoever you're playing with or what team it is. But obviously, I'm happy to be back here in Brandon, and I know we got a good team coming.
You guys have a good social feed as well, and I thought it was great when they were announcing that the captain was going to be named. You could see the last 3 letters of the name bar behind it. It was SON, and I guess you got your buddy Chiasson. Was there a little back and forth between you two who's going to get it? I mean, obviously you had the conversation last year, but I thought that was kind of a nice decoy for them there.
Oh yeah, I didn't even clue into that. I don't remember seeing that, but yeah, obviously Chiasson, he's obviously a good leader in the room as well, and yeah, we have lots of older guys this year and lots of good leaders in the room, but yeah.
Well, your leadership obviously helped. The first couple games definitely didn't go the Wheat Kings' way against the Winnipeg Ice, but then you get back in. What kind of changed the ship after those first 2 losses? You're coming off a 3-3 where you get 2 wins on either end.
Yeah, I think we had some guys kind of slowly start come back in the lineup, and I think kind of once everybody realized that, we had some momentum going our way. I think we got two quick goals that first game, and I think after that, the boys kind of just started believing in ourselves, and the younger guys kind of didn't know what the league was all about and everything. But hopefully we get some more guys back in the lineup and kind of get underway here.
And we're proud of you as well. You didn't get kicked out of your first game this year like you did last year and like you did in game 1 in Ottawa. But is that something you want to have fun and you want to keep this hard-nosed style that you're making a name for yourself for. But where do you find that line? Is that just you trying to find it early on in the year?
I think I'm cursed or something. I don't even know how it works.
Is that 3 straight years too?
Unbelievable. Three in a row. First year was 3 games and then 3 games again last year. And then obviously in Ottawa, I got the 2-gamer. But yeah, I don't like, it's just kind of unfortunate. It is what it is. Like I try to play the same way every game, but for some reason I just happen to get suspended the first game of the year every time. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. Just, yeah, I got no words for it.
The refs have their whistle out early on. That's them getting it out of the way early, eh?
Yeah, they're trying to set the tone or something, but yeah, well,
Pilsey and I were sitting right where that play happened, and at first glance, it just looked like you'd gotten rid of the puck like a split second earlier. You look up, and there's a 6'4" guy, like, you know, in that danger distance away. So at that point, is it more so a reaction?
Yeah, like it was totally a reaction. Like when I got the puck, I kind of just made a quick play to the middle, and like it was my first game playing at that level, and the pace is hot, so. Like I thought he was kind of coming to run me over, so I just was trying to protect myself. Reactionary play. Like I had no intention to hit him in the face or get him in the the chin or whatever it was. But yeah, kind of just an unfortunate reactionary play.
You hear how much you cut him open?
I heard it was 12 or
15 zippers. Oops.
Yeah, I texted him after, and he was good about it. He said, a couple stitches aren't going to hurt him, so he was all good about it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Did you feel like maybe there was a bit of a target going to be on your back after that move you pulled off?
No, I don't think so. I think the move it is what it is, and
separate,
just a goal, and so I moved on from it.
So you mentioned earlier the pace and obviously the size of guys playing up in the NHL that really changes the game. But what else did you notice that is really different when you're at that highest competition level?
Yeah, I think the main thing I took away this time was like kind of just the off ice like routine and how everyone carries themselves. Like I know you go to the rink in the morning and it's more of like a job, you know, like from junior and everything. Like you go to the rink, you do your warm up and you kind of have a routine and set thing to do before practice in the game. So I think that's kind of one of the things that I kind of want to take back in a junior is kind of having more of a routine and like pro kind of mentality towards things. So yeah.
Were there any of the guys in Ottawa that really helped you along? I know you're on a line with Austin Watson, a guy who's been kind of praised for his leadership. He plays a similar style to you as well, not afraid to run guys over out there. What was that dynamic like? And I think you had Formie on your left side for a little bit as well.
Yeah, I think Austin, he's obviously a good leader. He was talking to me quite a bit and kind of just trying to get some emotion out of me, I think, for the most part. And then pretty cool to play with Formington again. I know we started off, I think it was last year in Belleville. Obviously, I think he's probably one of the fastest guys in the league. But yeah, and then another guy that Cole Reinhardt, who I'm pretty buddies with. He would always drive me to the rink, and we're chatting up all the time. So yeah,
no question, he's got a truck. I don't even have to ask; it's a pickup, eh?
You know what? That's funny you say that because he actually sold it.
No,
he bought like a Lincoln SUV. And he's just pissed off right now.
Is he a city boy now?
Yeah, the city of Belleville just turned him into a city kid, eh?
I know. I don't know. He's definitely not a city boy, but I don't know if he's feeling the regret of selling his truck but pretty much every day he mentioned that I can't wait to buy a truck this summer and murder it out. So yeah, can't wait to see the new truck next year, I guess.
Man, how proud are you of him being able to step into pro hockey from 6th round pick? And he looked the part, man. He's using his speed up and down, killing penalties last year in Belleville.
Yeah. Like his game's really taken off these last couple of years. I think he's kind of starting to get comfortable in Belleville in the pro game. But yeah, obviously, I think coming into when I was 16 in the Western League, I kind of looked up to him a little bit, and just to see him kind of carry on into the pro game, it's pretty cool to watch.
Yeah, now he was your teammate in Brandon, and you guys are gearing up for a good season here, especially you're on a goal per game pace. That's not too bad to get things started. But what are kind of the team expectations this season for the Wheat Kings?
Yeah, I think we're going to be a pretty good team. I know we kind of dropped the ball the first weekend there with Winnipeg Ice, but I think once we get some guys back in the lineup, we can compete with those higher end teams and kind of go from there. But just to get some momentum going this past weekend was just good to see to start off.
I went to my first WHL game last week. It was in Winnipeg against Regina, who you guys just played yesterday. And I mean, no offense to being a 16-year-old and anything, but I was expecting a little more from Connor Bedard. Were you on him man-to-man last game?
I think I was line matched against Nyhoff actually. And,
okay.
I pretty much got beat up for 60 minutes straight, but yeah, it was a great road win actually, a good gritty win, and pretty proud of the boys that we could get the job done with a 3-3 like that.
Yeah, that's awesome. We're going to be following along closely, and you got some making up to do just based on your COVID status last year. You remember that? Well, I'm sure you do. You had to quarantine, I think, 3 different times going through the World Junior Camp. Is that something that you've got circled this year and saying, I need to get on that team?
Yeah, I think that's the goal, the end goal there for Christmas. Obviously, to play in that tournament would just be pretty cool, and I know my family and everything would be pretty proud of me. So, yeah, that's what I'm working towards right now, for sure.
Because you've played for Team Canada once, but Team Canada Red, so not at the under 18. So, what would it mean to you? I know you're bailing on your family at Christmas, but that's all right. When you're putting on the maple leaf, what would that mean to you?
Yeah, like that's just it would be an unreal feeling, and then obviously playing in Edmonton with the I think it would be full capacity by then, and just to play in a full barn like that, I mean, just experience of a lifetime that'd be, and obviously Canada and the history, would just be amazing. I don't even know how to describe it. Like, it'd just be awesome.
Oh, and you guys have some redemption after that gold medal game against Team USA last year. Although, give your credit to Jake Sanderson and Tyler Clevin, all your fellow Sens prospects. We're really excited for you to get going at the World Juniors. Final question from me, Ridley. And again, we appreciate you joining us. You're now a friend of the show. And I mean, you're really a friend once you put on that highlight reel display for us in Winnipeg a couple weeks ago. But what in your individual game does the Sens want you to come back next year in camp and have it more of an NHL level?
Yeah, I know the main thing they were telling me, and I know myself, the main thing would just be my strength and building my body. I think kind of throughout the camp, my level kind of dropped slowly every day, and just to come back next year with a more mature body and everything, I think I'd be smooth sailing from there.
Now, do you think if you're able to kind of bulk up like that, how much of an effect is that going to have with you in the face-off dot this season?
Yeah, I think it'd be huge. Like, I know the strength in the face-off circles, obviously probably the most important thing, and just to have more leverage with a couple more pounds or whatever it is, definitely would help me win a lot more draws.
Man, it's been a great start for you, though. As Pilsey mentioned, 3 goals in 3 games, and you haven't been kicked out of any action this season. But man, we really enjoy watching you. You came on for us in the radar. We spoke to you about it last time. We're not going to make you go through the story, but when you flung your buddy's stick about 18 rows up. So ever since then, we like watching the little behind the scenes stuff. So never change the style of play, man. We really enjoy watching it, and we look forward to seeing your success this season. And we're going to be cheering you on to wear that maple leaf at Christmas. So Ridley, thanks for joining us again, man. Really appreciate it.
Yes, awesome. Thank you guys. Thanks for chatting me up.
All right, Pilsey. Stick taps to Ridley for joining us. His Brandon Wheat Kings back in action, by the way, this Wednesday when they're on the road in Saskatoon to take on the Blades. And then they return home to Brandon on Saturday night for a game against the Swift Current Broncos. We'll be following along with Greig's Wheat Kings throughout this season, and we'll hopefully get him back on right after the World Juniors when we expect him to play a good role with Team Canada. All right, Pilsey, do you want to say a word from our friends at Rock Auto?
Yeah, let's do it. I've got a long road trip coming up here. I'm driving to Ottawa. Then I'm going to buy tickets for the Laval-Belleville game right when the show is done. So Ross and I are hoping to go to the home opener in Ottawa and then to Laval for the season opener for Belleville. That's a whole lot of driving. I'm going to put a lot of kilometers on my new truck. So I want to make sure that I've got all the parts I need. And the best way to do that is to visit rockauto.com. They're a family business serving auto parts customers online for 2 damn decades. They've been doing it for a long time. Go to rockauto.com to shop for auto and body parts from hundreds of manufacturers. They got it all. Everything from engine control modules, brake parts, tail lamps, motor oil, and even new carpet. If you spill a smoothie or a milkshake on there, they got it covered for you. Don't even worry about it. Their catalog online is unique and remarkably easy to navigate. What good is a good website if you can't find the products you're looking for? rockauto.com makes it easy. You can choose the parts for your vehicle, the brands, specifications, and prices you prefer. And best of all, the prices at rockauto.com are always reliably low, and they're the same for professionals and do-it-yourselfers. Why would you spend up to twice as much for the same parts? You wouldn't. Ross wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. We don't want you to do it. So go to rockauto.com. See all the parts available for your car or truck, right? Locked on in their How Did You Hear About Us box so they know we sent you. It's Rock Auto. They are amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. Visit rockauto.com and tell them Locked On sent you.
All right, Pilsey. So the lines have trickled out from TSN 1200. Do we want to start by going through that, or should we get to our listener questions and then end the show going through today's practice lineup?
Let's hit the news while it's fresh. It just got tweeted out, so let's hit the practice lines, and then we'll get to listener questions to finish off.
I was hoping you do that the other way because I'm going to have to pull up.
Hey, you're driving the bus, so you can take an exit here if you want.
No. We'll keep grinding away down the freeway here. I've got them, and I'll pull it up as we go. But Tuesday's practice lines, the first official practice for the 22-man roster, your Ottawa Senators. Of course, no Matt Murray today. And we'll start by answering the question that was apparent in yesterday's episode. And it looks like Timmy Superstar will get first dibs alongside Josh Norris and Drake Batherson. Pilsey, your thoughts?
Well, there's a little hat tip for the fans, right? Like, there's a little, okay, no Brady Tkachuk up there. So let's get, instead of the 4th overall, let's get the 3rd overall pick up there. And Timmy Stutzel, the superstar, is getting a big opportunity here to play with the big boys. And I'm stoked. And then pretty much the lines shaked out how we wanted them to, right, Ross? Like, you get the loaded up top line. You get the identity line of Paul Pinto-Brown that DJ Smith was talking about. Then you get the speedy, skilled line with Formenton, Tierney, and Ennis. And then you get your classic 4th line with, I'm not sure, it'll be interesting to see if Kelly or Sanford gets in there. I'd be shocked if they don't give Sanford the opportunity, even though he hasn't looked great, but he's a guy you brought in, you wanted to look good. And you're talking about putting him on the 4th line. So that even that's barely giving him much there, throwing him a bone. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see Sanford, Shaw, Sabrin. And then the D lines are sort of what we thought, but it's so weird seeing Brannstrom as the odd guy out when him and Nick Holden were looking like such a good D pair. So that's definitely some question marks there, because if Brannstrom's not playing for you at the NHL level, then why is he here? Like, why is he the press box guy?
He shouldn't be. And I pulled up the lines now on YouTube. You can see them there. And do you think that this is DJ Smith? And he did this last year too. I don't like it when he reacts to what the other team has. He wants Ottawa to physically dominate the Leafs. I have this inkling that if it wasn't the Toronto Maple Leafs, that Josh Brown and Scott Sabrin are both in the lineup. Like, if you need to have a grit grinder, for lack of a better term, and that's fine if you do, but you don't need 2 of them. Like, other guys can stand up for themselves on this team. Like, I get the sentiment. I just think it's too much of the same. And that being said, I could talk myself into Josh Brown. I thought he actually had a pretty decent preseason, but it doesn't send the right message because Erik Brannstrom was much better than him.
Yep.
So if you're going to talk about how Brannstrom isn't an NHL defenseman, at some point, the onus isn't on him because he did all he could in the preseason, right? At some point, the onus is on DJ Smith to put him in positions to succeed.
Yeah, I agree fully with that, Ross. And I think what's confusing too is how, like, okay, let's say we're going with that DJ sentiment. Like, okay, we want some toughness in here. Let's get Sabrin, let's get Brown in here. Then why on earth is Josh Brown not with Victor Mete? Because we saw them have success at the end of last season, Mete and Josh Brown. And we've seen Mete and Zaitsev been an absolute disaster this season, right?
Tough.
So this preseason, I should say. So why are you putting the defense lines like that? Like, it's almost like you've made the bottom pair the worst way you could have done it if that's how you're deciding to do it, right? So I don't know about that. That's definitely interesting.
And if he's paired with Nick Holden, who's moving pucks out of the zone?
Yeah.
Branny moves pucks.
Yep. Branny moves pucks.
So we'll see. I'm pulling it up one more time. I need to go through it. I do actually like the identity line, and you brought this idea up of having Nick Paul with Pinto and Connor Brown. So I'm happy with that. I'm excited to see that. Maybe not excited, because it's kind of depressing that you're paying a guy $2 million to potentially be a healthy scratch. But I don't mind if Sanford is the odd man out here, because he did absolutely nothing in preseason.
Yeah, and Kelly's going to bring that energy that you need.
Yeah, like Shaw, Kelly, Sabrin, if they're going to play 5 minutes, one thing I know for sure is they are going to be humming on the forecheck. It is going to be Chip and Chase City. These guys will not be having controlled zone entries, that's for sure. It's just maybe get it deep and make contact and then get off the ice as soon as possible. Although I do like what Parker Kelly brings, but the other two guys I don't need to see much of at the NHL level.
And just someone more graphically design capable than me. Someone needs to make like a Scott Sabrin investment firm, like, you know, those classic investments. Like, don't use your parents' guys. Like, use like an online thing to protect your investments. Someone a little smarter, a little more creative. There's something there.
Leems Martian, let's go.
Yeah, Leems Martian could definitely figure something out. But the Scott Sabrin Investment Protective Co. or something like that has got to happen here, because that's all he's here for. And I think, like you said, the kind of rivalry with the Leafs. He was with the Leafs last year. He didn't like how they treated Sens players last game. So for that sense, I definitely get why he's in there. But
and entertainment, you said it.
Entertainment,
like,
yep.
Home opener, let's go. So great stuff as the Senators. It's their first practice, right? You're going to be 2 more skates before they get on the ice on Thursday night. So we'll see if there's any tinkering. I'm still really perplexed by having the fastest player on the team with the slowest player, but we've discussed that ad nauseum.
Yeah, where else are you going to put him at this point, right? So, and I still do believe Chris Tierney can make it work. It's just the transitions aren't going to be pretty. Like, once they're in the O-zone, I think it'll be all right. But transitioning that puck up the ice is going to be a little awkward with that line.
Okay, Levy Lock. I'm going to call a 2-on-1 with Tyler Ennis and Alex Formanton. And Tierney's going to be 3 lines behind him.
Probably. But hey, hopefully he made that first pass and gets a secondary assist, huh?
There you go. Nothing wrong with that. All right, time to get into some listener questions. Of course, later on in the week, we're going to be teeing up this game. We already had a little bit of a preview. And remember, Tampa Bay Lightning have not lost a season opener in 7 years. 7 years. That's absolutely sick. Although they've probably been partying enough for 2 Stanley Cup celebrations all off season. So it's going to be an interesting team to watch in Tampa. And speaking of that, we're going to have our division preview tomorrow. So we're going to have our thoughts on each team, and we're going to invite in the local experts to give their bold prediction on their team. So we'll get to all that tomorrow, and then Thursday, it's all hype all day. We're going to be firing up and getting people ready for capacity crowd at the Canadian Tire Center. All that, Pilsey. But some of these Sens sickos have written into today's show because they have burning questions they want answered in front of this NHL season. I'm going to pull them up if you're watching on YouTube. We're going to start with a very good question. And I had to pause and think when at NoCougar29 wrote in, why do people think this team is going to do better than last season?
Well, and Ross, this is funny too, because we posted on our page the poll, which starting lineup looks better. And the overwhelming consensus was this year's starting lineup. And maybe that is, I still don't know. Honestly, I voted for last year's because no Brady Tkachuk. Like, that we're talking about moving the needle here. That pretty much goes, the needle's like here and it goes all the way back down here. No Brady Kachuk. So that alone made a big difference for me. No Colin White, no Austin Watson. No Matt Murray now. That definitely changes things. I think people think this team is going to do better than last season because we're going to see internal improvement. That's what the Senators are banking on, right? Like this whole rebuild has kind of banked on the fact that we're going to draft and develop guys, and that's how we're going to build our team. And if you're looking at Drake Batherson, he had a great year last year. He can build on that for sure. Josh Norris, another example. Tim Stutzel, he finished the season a little bit stronger than the middle of his season was when he had a bit of a drought. There's so many guys like Branstrom, people are expecting to take a big step here. I think there's so many guys that have an opportunity or should have an opportunity to take big steps that it's giving some hope to people, which is great. And I had that hope too, but it's dwindling when you start seeing the little pieces, the dominoes fall down here, and this team can't get everything together at one time to make it work.
And if you look at the off season, you lose Dadonov, you for now lose Brady Kachuk. And what have you added? Nick Holden and Michael Delzato. Delzato, 2 years, $2 million. Whoever was the pro scout who recommended that, and I think I know who he is, a bald guy with glasses, circular glasses, who's been around the National Hockey League for a long time. He's looking like he's trending towards being a healthy scratch on opening night.
I think it's a done deal that he will be a healthy scratch, right? So
wow.
That's pretty terrible. And then, yeah, like this.
So that's where I'm saying, and I understand his question being like, they didn't exactly inspire any confidence in the fan base through this offseason.
No, like I would say, like if we're going from like looking at a past season to a new season, last year's optimism was through the roof, right? You got Timmy Matt Superstar. Murray. You got, Timmy Superstar coming to the league. Derek Stepan. We don't need to get into that. But, what's I'm missing? Oh yeah, Dadonov. Dadonov was another one that league wide, everyone was like, great signing. That's a perfect addition to help this team along. Like last year, there were so many of those moves that made it seem like this team was trending in the right direction. And then they just took a step backwards, or they just sat down and didn't take any steps at all, depending on how you look at it. So this offseason was a head scratcher. And I think this lack of an offseason is going to put this team back a year in getting out of this rebuild, in my ideas.
In our goalie-friendly group, Lalims Martian just said probably a worse signing than Gabranson. Do you agree with that?
Who?
Delzato.
Well, I mean, there's more term, and it's tough because at least he didn't give up an asset to get Goodbranson.
Yeah, they did. Or to get Delzato.
To get Delzato. Sorry. That was my mix-up there. But I think, then Delzato, the problem is he got him for 2 seasons, and who's going to want that $2 million to have a press box guy? Not many people. So
$1 million in savings from their press box guy the last 2 years, and Mikkel Bodker, who's getting paid $3 million in salary. Yeah. So at least we know that DJ Smith doesn't care how much money you're making, and he'll put you in the lineup. I mean, the Branstrom situation's a whole different animal, but when it comes to sitting Delzato, don't think the contract will get in the way of that. That leads perfectly, and thanks No Cougar 29 for the question. That leads in perfectly to this next one from Alex_Lawyer_2, Lawler_2. Will we see Branny play the right side this season?
I think so, especially when Jake Sanderson comes to this team, right? Like there's no room for anyone on the left side once Jake Sanderson arrives. So if Branny's going to be in a position to play, which I think by that point he will, Holden and or Delzato will likely be moved. Maybe even Mete gets moved too. That's another trade candidate, right? So if those guys get moved, then you're looking at a Branny kind of not really having a spot on the left side there. And I think he's going to have to move over. Like ideally, in my mind, the future Sens decor will arrange it however you want, but it's going to include Shabbat, hopefully JBD as the yin to his yang on that right side, Sanderson, and then kind of sort of the yin to his yang and Branstrom on that right side. And then, I mean, we can have some fun and put Clevin and Thompson as your bottom pair too there, right? So if that's going to work, Branstrom kind of needs to play on the right side. Otherwise, you can't have a left side of Shabbat, Sanderson, and then Branstrom on a bottom pair. Like that just doesn't make sense, right? So I think for him to succeed in this franchise, he's going to need to play the right side. And I think it will happen near the end of this season.
The fact that Nick Holden can play the right side does help this season because I believe those two will be paired together often.
Yep.
And maybe Holden can teach him a few things of how to be successful as a left shot defenseman playing your offside.
Sure.
So I'm going to say we will see him there, but the majority of his minutes this year will come on the left side. That's where
Agreed.
I stand on that. So
Yep.
yeah, it's a part of a thin defense in Ottawa. And thanks, Alex, for the question. We're going to go to @613JMC. And it has to do with the defense, kind of, in the sense that clearly it's a thin D-core. Can Matt Murray bounce back enough to cover up for their mistakes?
I like to hope he can, but and I hate to start it off with this, the asterisk is health, right? We know that with Matt Murray, because look at the preseason games he did play. I thought, at least I was really watching on this, is how is his angling? How's his position when a guy's coming up on the wing looking for a quick, easy wrist shot? And how is his rebound control? And I found both of those aspects were looking good. And when there's chaos in front of the net, how is his scrambling, right? Like, is it calm and collected, or is it all over the place and he's just throwing his body around? And it seemed calm and collected. So I really think if Matt Murray can do a good job, I think the rebound control is the most important thing here. If he can do a good job with the rebound control, this thin defense won't be as big of an eyesore as it could be if his rebound control isn't good, because you got guys like, Mete, Brandstrom, they have a hard time boxing out guys in front of the net. It's just size, speed, or size, strength, age. That's just a matter of fact, right? So if there's rebounds, juicy rebounds, guys are going to eat that up. So we need Matt Murray to focus on that. And if he's healthy, I do believe he can bounce back enough to cover it up.
Patrick Weldon, 13, Send Central Citizen. How are you? Who will be in the spotlight while Brady isn't signed? I believe he means who's going to step up in his absence. No, wrong side. Dominic Hasek's not coming back.
Hey, he's still in good shape. If you see his Twitter, he's doing triathlons all the time. But I'm directionally challenged, but I figured it out. It's going to be Tim Stutzel here. It's next man up syndrome, right? Like, top spot, left wing, open. Well, the second line left winger, he's bumping up, and he's going to get a big opportunity here. It's Timmy Superstar. Like, this, I would almost say, like, the success of Timmy Superstar goes kind of hand in hand with Brady Tkachuk, because Brady Tkachuk brings the culture, the physicality, the what is our team going to do to their team every night. But that's all and great. But Brady Tkachuk is like a 25 goal scorer. You need someone who can pop over 30 goals to get some real skill in here. And that guy, in my mind, is going to be Tim Stutzel. And now that Brady doesn't have the spotlight on him, well, it's the next big piece of the rebuild that's going to be here. Well, and Jake Sanderson's going to steal some of that spotlight when he comes. But for now, it's going to be Tim Stutzel.
I like that answer. Just to give you a different one, I'll go with our boy Flash Formanton. I think he's going to come on and really seize an opportunity, because with Brady in the lineup and the way that Nick Paul, I mean, he does it all. You can put him on right wing, center, wherever, but they love him at left wing. That really just limits what Formanton can bring. So now that everyone shifts up one line, all of a sudden Formanton's in a spot where I think he can really break out. Speaking of breakouts, how about last year for Drake Batherson? Another Send Central Citizen writes in. It's at AJ Prince. He goes, what's Drake Batherson's ceiling? I mean, we discussed it a little bit once Drake Batherson signed that 6-year contract a couple months ago. But what do you believe, let's say this season, what do you think Drake Batherson can reach points and goals-wise this year?
I see him hitting 25-plus goals, because he's a top-line guy. He's going to be on a top power play. He's with the best skilled players on this roster, so he's put into a position to succeed. So I got 25-plus goals. I'm going to say 28 goals. I don't think he quite hits 30 yet, but 28 goals, and then plus 30 assists for sure. Like, I would say probably 35 assists, so 28 plus 35. Oh, I can't do math right now, but whatever that adds up to, that's where I'm putting him at here.
That's 60. 25, 35. That's 60. Yes, math guy right here. But I like that. I'm going to go 28 goals.
No, I said 28 goals, like over 25, but I think it'll end up being 28 goals.
Okay. All right. Sorry.
So that's 63? Yeah, 63.
There you
okay.
go. Nice.
I like that.
Yeah, 63. That's a good number. You know what? Let's be bold. It's a week of the season starting. I'll push it up 2 points to 65, cool. But those will both be goals. So I say you're going to get a 30-goal scorer this year in Drake Batherson. And that would be the first 30-goal scorer since what? Milan McCulloch and Jason Spezza in 2012?
Probably Milan McCulloch. Yeah.
Wow. That's something.
Yikes.
Yeah. Well, if Drake Matheson can do that, that would mean good things for Josh Norris as well. And then you start to worry, Drake's locked up, but Josh Norris now needs a contract. And then we get into that whole thing. One guy who won't need a contract after this season, but will after the following one. Great question coming in from @Villeneuve Phil 7. Phil wants to know, will Tim Stutzel have a sophomore slump?
I want to be careful how I word this, because I don't think he will have a sophomore slump, but also classic party poop and Pilsey. I don't think he's going to have the big boom that you and a lot of other Sens fans think, because sure, he's getting better line mates, but he's now also getting harder competition if you're on that top line. And Tim Stutzel is no longer a surprise to this league. Like, American teams aren't going to be shocked when they see what he's doing, because they got to see, although they didn't play him, they got to see a season with what he can do when he's given good opportunities. And I think Tim Stutzel is going to kind of be right around what his full season projection would have been last season, maybe a tick better, but I don't think this is a season where you're going to see him plummet or skyrocket. I think it's going to be just another gradual progression season, because I think he still needs a little more. He needs more shelter around him. Like, the rest of the team needs to be better for him to be able to flourish fully.
100% agree. However, I think that the power play is where Timmy can really take a step in the right direction this year. I think last year, the way it was set up, they weren't sure where everybody was going to play on the power play. You know what I mean? Like, because they like having Drake on that right flank, but that's kind of where Timmy works on the half wall.
Yep.
Like, the two guys who are set, Shabbat's at the top of the umbrella, and you know that Norris is going to be in that one-timer position as a left shot on the right side, Brady right in front of the net. And then it just got kind of awkward after that.
Yeah.
They didn't know who to put on the half wall. And I think if Timmy gets that spot right away, and of course there's going to be some shifting around, don't be surprised if Nick Paul's the big body that they want right net front on that first power play unit. But I'm just going through Timmy's overview from last year, and he had 9 power play points. I think that you can expect that to at least double, right? And then that's going to come onto his final score sheet, because 5-on-5, I think you might see a gradual improvement, maybe not as much as some would hope. He had 20 even strength points last year, but those 9 power play points, I really think that if they focus on getting him in the right direction there, we could see a big boost in points for Timmy Superstar here in the second season. And we do appreciate everyone's questions coming in, and there are a few more ones that we couldn't get to, so we'll get to them tomorrow or Thursday before the season. Pilsey, before we go, I did pull up the Senators. Let's see if you can name all of them, okay?
Oh, boy.
11 times has an Ottawa Senator reached the 30-goal mark since the 04-05 lockout. Can you name the players who have done it?
Well, Danny Heatley twice. Are we naming players or times it was achieved?
You can name the players, and I'll tell you how many, or you can guess how many times they were achieved, but then I'll tell you how many after.
So Danny twice, or maybe even 3 times.
More.
Not 5, 4 times. He
4
got
times.
30. Yeah.
4 times. His 4 years in Ottawa were 50 goals, 50 goals, 41 goals, 39 goals.
Oh, man. Heater.
Yeah.
What a guy. Okay, Heater.
Spezza, how many times?
Twice.
More.
3?
More.
4.
Yep.
Damn.
06,
Okay.
07 and 11-12. He had 34 goals in each of those seasons, and actually had 34 goals in 07-08 as well. And then in 08-09, he had 32 goals. So
damn,
you had the first 2 right on, right? That's 8 out of the 11 names right there.
And then Milan McCulloch twice?
Once.
Just once, okay.
35 goals in 77 games.
And then Alfie's got to be on there, the other ones, right?
The other 2.
Yeah.
And both of those, Alfie, well, at least from 05-06 until he left after the 2013 season, never had between 30 and 40 goals. He had 40 and he had 43 in 2 different seasons there. So I'll pull that up actually just before we say goodbye. But who do you think is the next best chance to get to that number with Ottawa. Do you think Drake Batherson gives them their best hope?
I think Drake gets there before Timmy. Yep.
What about Norris? He's got to be right in the mix there. This guy can shoot it as good as anybody.
His shot is incredible. Yeah, for sure. No, I think Drake gets it, Timmy gets it, then Norris gets it. Okay. Norris will be like high 20s for a while.
You think so? We call that Mike Hoffman syndrome.
Yeah.
Because if you look at after, and by the way, Ottawa was on pace to have a 30-goal scorer. Mark Stone had 28 in 55 games when he got traded at the deadline. Too bad that they couldn't keep him, right?
And Pajot even got close to 30 last year, or the year he was traded, right?
I think that he was
lighting it up with the Sens before he got traded. Yeah, he was high 20s.
Yeah, he did well. So anyways, that's a little bit of a preview here. We've gone pretty long this episode, but it's hockey week. Hockey's back as of tonight. You get live hockey on your TV screens with full capacity crowds. I cannot wait. So make sure you're following along at Brandon Pillar 1. I'm at Ross Levitan, and you can follow the show account at Sen Central. We always appreciate you making Locked On Senators your first listen of the day. Lots of YouTube comments rolling in. We'll get to every single one of those. We appreciate the engagement as well on Instagram, lockedon.senators. Please like and subscribe, all that great stuff. For today, we say goodbye. Thanks so much for listening. For Brandon Pillar, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.